We have the final scene in Act 1, and Macbeth is on his own. Look at the length that he's talking. He's talking to himself. When you have a soliloquy, we have to assume that it's the honest feelings and emotions of the speaker. Very few people go around lying to themselves when they're in private. And so this we will spend some time with. Look how he starts out. It seems that he has made his mind up. If it were done, then 'tis... Sorry, let me start over again. If it were done when 'tis done, then 'twere well it were done quickly. So we have to assume it is the death of Duncan. If the assassination could trammel up the consequence and catch with his surcease success, that but this blow might be the be-all and the end-all here. So if we can get it all done, it'll be over, it's all good. But here upon this bank and shoal of time, we jump the life to come. And that's an interesting reflection on his part. The life to come, immortality in heaven, infinitely being in heaven. He's worried about his soul. No matter what we do here in heaven or here on earth, eventually we're going to have to justify this, and we could end up in hell over this action. Thou shalt not murder. But in these cases we still have judgment here, that we but teach bloody instructions, which being taught return to plague the inventor. This even-handed justice commends the ingredients of our poison chalice to our own lips. So I could just be stabbing myself in the back, stabbing myself in the foot. This is not going to go well for me if I'm caught here on earth either. He's here in double trust. So this is how much trust the king has in Macbeth. First, as I am his kinsman and his subject, strong both against the deed. So I'm related to him. I'm his loyal subject. Both of these reasons are good reasons not to kill the king. Then as his host, who should against his murderer shut the door, not bear the knife myself. So any of you familiar with this time period, maybe you've read Game of Thrones, and that is one of their tenets too, that if you have someone in your home as your guest, you fed them, they are there in your trust, you are to take care of them. You cannot be the host of someone and then murder them. Besides, this Duncan hath borne his faculties so meek, hath been so clear in his great office, that his virtues will plead like angels trumpet-tongued against the deep damnation of his taking off, and pity like a naked newborn babe striding the blast o'er heaven's cherubin horsed upon the sightless couriers of the air, shall blow the horrid deed in every eye, that tears shall drown the wind. He was a good king. He is a good king. He's great. He's gracious. And this is another reason why I should not murder him. He is not someone who's out pillaging the land and taking everything. He is great in his office. He's a good king. And his murderer is not going to be greeted well by the folks. I have no spur to prick the sides of my intent, but only vaulting ambition, which overleaps itself and falls on the other. So he doesn't really have anything inside of him that prompts him to go and kill and be the king. He does have ambition. And yet, is it going to fall over itself? Is this really enough to go and commit this crime? And so Lady Macbeth is entering, and he asks her, "How now? What news?" "He has almost supped. Why have you left the chamber? Hath he asked for me? Know you not he has?" Again he flip-flops. "We will proceed no further in this business. He hath honoured me of late, and I have bought golden opinions from all sorts of people, which would be worn now in their newest gloss, not cast aside so soon. So he's really happy with me. I have now more influence, more riches. Opinions of people are on my side. I'm doing really well. Why do I need this?" And then she has some words for him. She's not happy. And we will discuss this later about her intentions and what you think could be going through her head, what's prompting all of this, but let's just read it for now. "Was the hope drunk wherein you dressed yourself? Hath it slept since? So why are you changing your mind? Have all of this ambition you had before now gone away? And wakes it now to look so green and pale at what it did so freely?" So watch the adjectives and the words she now uses to describe him. So green, pale, neither one of these is good things. "From this time such I account thy love. Art thou afeard to be the same in thine own act and valor as thou art in desire?" Now she's calling this great general afraid to act upon his thoughts. Wouldst thou have that which thou deemest the ornament of life, and live a coward in thine own esteem, letting I dare not wait upon I would, like the poor cat in the adage? Okay, afraid, coward now to act upon what you want. Prithee, peace, I dare do all that may become a man. Who dares do more is none. So that seems pretty righteous. A man would not go around killing his king. What beast was it then that made you break this enterprise to me? So what was it in you that made you tell me all this in the first place, only to take it back? When you durst do it, then you were a man. And to be more than what you were, you would be so much more the man. So it seems like she's insulting his manhood. You're not really a man if you're acting this way, cowardly. You're afraid. If you do it, you'll be a man. So prove to me that you're a man. And more than that, if you become king, you are really a man. And even more than a man, you're going to be a king. Nor time nor place did then adhere, and yet you would make both. They have made themselves, and that their fitness now does unmake you. I have given... Okay, I want to stop and do this alone, because this has probably the most graphic imagery that we'll see for a while, and there's some debate here, but it gives us a little bit more of a clear insight of her thinking. I have given suck and knows how tender 'tis to love the babe that milks me. So I have nursed a baby. It's very tender. It's very bonding. It's a very sweet moment. I would, while it was smiling in my face, have plucked my nipple from his boneless gums and dashed the brains out, had I so sworn as you have done to this. So just let that sink in for a moment. She has stated that she knows what it's like to give suck to a baby, to have a sweet little innocent newborn nurse her, and she would rather pick it up and dash its brains out, this baby of hers, than break a promise to him like he just did to her. So if I was to stop right now and ask you to jot down character traits of Lady Macbeth, I think you'd have some negative ones at this point, for sure. Maybe that's a good, wise decision to make when we're done here, is to jot down your thoughts of her and him at this point in time, because I think you'll be able to contrast them later. And then he asks her this question that's a pretty safe question. If we should fail? We fail? Now that's a question mark there in this book. I've seen it with an exclamation mark. I've seen it performed where she screams, we fail. But then the most important part is the but. But screw your courage to the sticking place and we'll not fail. So get your ducks in a row. Put your courage where it belongs. You and I together cannot fail. And now she has a plan. When Duncan is asleep, whereto the rather shall his day's hard journey soundly invite him. You know, he's going to be exhausted after all that riding. Here's her plan. His 2 chamberlains will I with wine and wassail so convince that memory the water of the brain shall be a fume, and the receipt of reason a limbeck only. So she's going to drug, put a sedation of some sort in their drinks. They won't know what's going on. When in swinish sleep their drenched natures lie as in a death, what cannot you and I perform upon the unguarded Duncan? What not put upon his spongy officers, who shall bear the guilt of our great quell? So they're going to commit this crime, and who's going to pay for it but those who are sleeping at their post? And he looks at her and sees what she's capable of. Bring forth men children only, so you better only have sons. For thy undaunted mettle should compose nothing but males. What you have in you now is only that is what makes up men, those males, the evil that's inside of her. And she did ask the spirits to unsex her, and he is seeing that right here. Will it not be received we have marked with blood those sleepy 2 of his own chamber, and used their very daggers that they have done it? So there's a next step in the plan, that we wipe the blood, keep the blood on their daggers, wipe the 2 guards, the chamberlains, with that blood. Who dares receive it other, as we shall make our griefs and clamor roar upon his death? So we're going to be carrying on in such grief no one would ever think that we had anything to do with it. And so he flip-flops again. I am settled, and bend up each corporal agent to this terrible feat. Away amock the time with fairest show, false face must hide, what the false heart doth know. And of course, as you can tell, that would be another line I'd have you write down. It's important. That false face, that what we're showing to other people is not what's in our hearts. He has said it earlier, and I got you to write that down. She has said it earlier, the dark and deep desires that they have. And now the act is ending on the same note.